Am I wrong for making a joke about my brother's divorce? My wife, Elle, and I have been married for a year now. Back in the day, Elle worked as a sports model. Her job required her to meet a very rigid beauty standard and look a certain way. She was always on a strict diet and was severely underweight. Since then, she's gained a healthy amount of weight and muscle and is much happier. My brother Chris is wealthy, like extremely wealthy. He's done well for himself and seems happy about where he is in life. He just got out of a nasty divorce with his ex-wife and has asked to stay with me for a few weeks as he moves into his new place. Chris, to put it simply, has a type. He believes that every woman should subscribe to his type. Any woman who doesn't fit his preference is automatically ugly and unlovable. He wants all women to conform to his standards, hell or high water. 2 days ago, Chris found some of Elle's old magazine covers and commented on how beautiful she was back then. It's a harmless comment, sure, but he kept bringing up how much she's let herself go. I mean, kept bringing it up. Elle goes for a run every evening, and as she was heading out the door, Chris told her to run fast enough to lose all the I gotta read it again. Run fast enough to lose all the flabby bits. She rolled her eyes and laughed it off, but I told him to shut up. The next day when Elle went to the gym, he told her to make sure to return to her old figure. Again, I told him to shut up and stop fixating on my wife's body. Despite all of his comments, Elle is a little unfazed by all of it. She says that she's used to it. By the end of the day, I was completely exhausted from listening to him. I was at my end, but Elle again brushed him off with a smile and with a laugh. When Elle served him food, he made a joke about paying for her tummy tuck so that I can marry the right version of Elle. The right version being the skinnier version of her. That comment set me off. I told him that his wife married the wrong version of him and to pack his shit and leave my house. He did not take kindly to this and complained about how insensitive I was to his situation and how I made a low blow. He eventually left, but Elle tells me that I could have kicked him out without the comment. So am I the asshole? Am I wrong for expecting my girlfriend to pay for my birthday dinner? The birthday person never pays for their own meal, just putting that out there. This birthday was the first that I have celebrated with my girlfriend. We have been dating for 7 months now. For my birthday, we had planned to go to a pretty nice restaurant. She didn't get me any presents or surprises. I won't complain about that though. I enjoy presents, but understand that some people just don't care to give them. Because of this, and since it was my birthday, I expected her to pay for my meal. I almost always pay for her meal, so I figured for this occasion that it would be flipped. We go to the restaurant and ordered our meals. The waiter finally asked if this was going to be together or separate. Before I could say anything, she blurted it out together. I assumed that this meant that she was going to be paying for both of us. I smiled. Oh my god, I feel so bad. I feel bad for him. I smiled and we then had a nice dinner. When the check came, it sat closer to me. I left it there for a few seconds expecting her to grab it. She never did and instead got on her phone. I got it and put my card in and paid for both of us. I was a little confused and kind of sad, but I didn't want to say anything yet. When we were on our ride home, I asked her what my surprise was going to be. If she says some tacky shit like, my present is a present, am I not enough for you? I'm going to rip my hair out. She said, it was a nice dinner that we just had. I was like, yes, it was nice, but I paid for it. I didn't know that counted as a surprise. She said, well, yeah, it was because normally I wouldn't want that, so letting us go there was a surprise. I explained to her how hurt I was that she didn't do anything else and how I had to pay for both of us on my birthday. She told me to get over it and that I'm not a kid anymore. She said that I was being rude for even bringing that up. I think, actually, no, I disagree. I think good for you for being able to bring that up and not stow it down. Now you know that she's a complete bitch. So, was I being rude and an asshole for expecting her to pay and bringing that up? Am I wrong for not telling my dad that I had a baby? For context, I, 28 female, have never been close with my dad, 66 male. My parents got married super fast and had 3 kids in 5 years. Then their relationship started to deteriorate, but when they were about to separate, my mom accidentally got pregnant with me. So they tried to make it work, but they failed and my dad left when I was 3. He got an apartment about an hour away while us kids stayed with mom. Because my dad left when I was so young, I never properly bonded with him. For the first couple of years after he left, I didn't really want to spend time with him because I was upset that he left. This made my dad unsure what to do with me, so he gave up trying to have a good relationship with me quickly. Growing up, I only saw him when he came to visit my siblings and we never spent any time alone together. He moved to another state as soon as my siblings were all 18 and has never invited me to visit. Meanwhile, my sister gets a plane ticket to visit him every year. We got into a fight 2 years ago, and since then, I have given up caring about our relationship because it obviously means more to me than him. Now, onto the actual story. I had my first baby last November. My dad has texted me a couple of times since I got pregnant, but it was always a one-off text that didn't really segue into me telling him about the baby. Plus, I wasn't rushing to tell him anyway, because if he hasn't been a good father, then he's not going to be a good grandfather. I wasn't actively trying to keep the baby from him, but I try not to think about him much because it upsets me. However, yesterday my dad came to visit. I knew he was coming, but he wasn't supposed to come until today. He'll only be here for a couple of days, and I wasn't planning on seeing him anyway because I'm busy this weekend. But last night, my husband and I were at my sister's house babysitting her kids and had our daughter with us. That's when my dad showed up a day early. He's staying there with my sister and was surprised to find us there with the baby. Once he got over his initial shock, he took me into another room and got mad at me for not telling him about his granddaughter. I was annoyed by this, so I told him he wasn't really ever going to know her anyway because he doesn't really know me. Then he told me I was a selfish bee for not even giving him the chance to know his granddaughter. I started getting mad at him until my husband heard and came to stop us before the situation got worse. I haven't talked to him since, but he texted me about how hurt he was, and all of my siblings texted me that I was a jerk for not telling him about the baby. However, they all talked to him regularly and they never told him I had a baby either, so he obviously wasn't asking about me. But even my mom, who doesn't like my dad, thinks I'm in the wrong. My husband is on my side, but he's the only one who actually understands how complicated my relationship is with my dad. I know I shouldn't have lashed out at him, and I regret that, but am I the asshole?
My boyfriend got another girl pregnant and I don't know what to do. My boyfriend and I have been dating for 6 months now. I've fallen more in love with this man with every passing day. I love everything about him, but we've run into some problems recently. Big problems. One day he comes at me with the classic, "We need to talk." That's when he told me he got another girl pregnant and we went on a trip to LA a little before we became official. He explained that she's already 7 months along and she just decided that she wanted him to be there for the birth and for him to be in the baby's life. I couldn't believe what I was hearing and I was silent for a few minutes. He just sat there saying how sorry he was with his hands covering his face. I love him so much and I don't want to lose him, so I told him that I understand and I would be willing to help him raise the baby. I said we could go shopping, get a crib, diapers, whatever we need to set up the room for a baby. I told him that it was okay and that we'd figure it out together. I was sure he would be relieved and thrilled, but his face said otherwise. He looked even more worried. I asked him what was wrong and what he said next really shocked me. He explained that he grew up with his parents separated and hated having to spend time separately with his mom and dad. He said his whole childhood he wished his mom and dad were still married and they could all just live together. He went on to say that he promised himself he would never make his kid feel that way, so he wants to try to make things work with a girl in LA for the baby's sake. I was gutted. I felt like everything was falling apart before my eyes. I thought this was going to be the guy that I was going to marry and be my forever. I wanted him to be. I tried to convince him that we could make it work and that this kid would have a good, happy life. I convinced him for hours and he finally said to let him think on it. That was a month ago. Since then, I've still been living at his house, sleeping with him, cooking for him and everything. But what's really bothering me is that he's been going down to LA to get things ready for the baby's arrival, or so he says, and is staying at her house for 3 nights each time. He still hasn't given me an answer if he's going to stay with me or move on and try to make it work with the other girl. I'm trying to be patient and give him time to think, but I can't shake the feeling that he's just using me until he's ready to leave and move to LA to start his real family. What should I do? I married my husband 3 years ago. He was divorced and previously widowed. He has 2 daughters, Annie, who is now 26 from his first marriage, and Amy, who is 17 from his second. My husband told me about his late wife, his ex-wife, the issues they had as a blended family when he remarried and Annie was not on board with him remarrying, and the fact that this strain ended his second marriage. He was also honest that Annie never forgave him for remarrying and never wanted to do anything with Amy or him after she turned 18. What he didn't tell me was the major role he played in all of this. I found this out 3 weeks ago at dinner with his extended family. The story as I know it, when Amy was around 5 years old, she took a special interest in a necklace that belonged to his late wife. My husband gave the necklace to Amy, which upset Annie because all of her mother's possessions were meant to go to her. My husband told Annie that it was just one item and she needed to get over it because Amy was entitled to have something too. Annie had brought up that it was a piece her mother wore the most. My husband told her it was a special gift to give to her sister, that she was being selfish. His ex-wife told her that her mother would want someone as special as your sister to have a piece of her as well. Annie never got over it. She tried to take it from Amy and was punished. The last time she saw any of them, she told them all to go to fucking hell. Amy still has the necklace too. She's let it get into a bad way and talks about it as if her dad bought it for her. I was shocked. I would have never expected my husband to be that way. He was very unapologetic about it and told me that Annie would have to get over it someday. I told him that he should be ashamed of himself, that he should have allowed Annie's mother's possessions to be her to do with as she chose, and that Amy did not give a crap about his late wife or the significance of those items, but Annie would have. I told him that he would be incredibly lucky if his daughter ever speaks to him again and that I would not blame her if she never did. He was furious that I judged him. His family said I should take my husband's side over his daughter who I don't even know, except for the nephew and niece who told the whole story because they also think my husband did a fucked up thing. Am I the asshole for telling my husband that he should be ashamed of himself for what he did?
Am I the asshole for not leaving when a girl my girlfriend hates showed up? I am very curious to know everyone's thoughts on this. I went to an event with some friends and this girl Carly, who my girlfriend Kenzie hates, showed up, and apparently I was supposed to leave after she was there. The plan was for me and a group of friends to do something, but Carly wasn't supposed to be there. But she heard from a mutual friend that I was going to be there and invited herself with them. She wanted the chance to get to talk to me without Kenzie around and says that Kenzie probably told me a bunch of lies. She said that that's why I avoid her, but Kenzie has always been an over-exaggerating and dramatic person. Am I the asshole for not leaving when a girl my girlfriend hates showed up? She says she doesn't see a reason the two of us can't be pals, except for me having a controlling and jealous girlfriend. This would be the time to put her in her place, but he says whatever, I was friendly to her and everyone else there had a good time. My girlfriend was upset at this, and apparently I was supposed to leave after Carly showed up. She said she only did that to get under her skin, and she only acts nice around me, and that she's actually a backstabbing person. That's the PG version. Now I'm thinking my girlfriend may be a tad dramatic.